So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the Tories losing North Shropshire, a seat they've held for nearly 200 years since its inception. So we're going to listen to a little clip from the victor in North Shropshire, the Lib Dem candidate.
Thousands of lifelong Conservative voters dismayed by Boris Johnson's lack of decency and fed up with being taken for granted. And thousands of lifelong Labour voters choosing to lend their votes to the candidate who can defeat the Conservatives.
And this is the thing that the Lib Dems are going to have to remember. You were lent votes here by people who wouldn't typically vote for your party. Remember that next time, because you seem to have forgotten in 2010. But let's not go back and be miserable. Let's be slightly more positive, and look forward. So the Conservatives have lost the North Shropshire seat they held for nearly 200 years to the Liberal Democrat candidate in a by-election. It's a big blow to Boris Johnson. Winner Helen Morgan overturned a Tory majority of nearly 23,000, which is a crazy number to manage to overturn. But once we look into the numbers, we'll kind of get a clearer idea of how kind of insane this was. You know, she said the party is over for Boris Johnson. Tory MP Roger Gale said the Prime Minister was on last orders. I mean, what more do you want him to do? Like, you know, if there are pics at him at a party, or like, you know, chatting up your wife or something, is that going to be the last straw? Like, what is this? Like, surely this is it now. One more strike and he's out. I mean, he's had multiple strikes now. So, I mean, surely he's out. He told Radio 4's Today programme, adding that the by-election has to be seen as a referendum on the Prime Minister's performance, because let's not forget that the candidate they put up was a bit of a joke. I don't think he had any real connection to the local, to the constituency. He, Brexiteer and whatever, but he didn't do any media appearances. So they saw it more as a referendum on Johnson, and he lost badly. Conservative Party chairman Oliver Dowden said, "I know that the voters of North Shropshire are fed up and wanted to give us a kicking." I mean, what you've got to look at is fed up of what? The parties that you shouldn't have had, about the corruption in your party, about Brexit. Like, what are they fed up about? You know, that's the thing that this guy, Dowden, needs to figure out. "We've heard that message loud and clear. Well, what are you going to change then?" He said, "I don't think this amounts to a sea change," which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think it's more a liver shot than a KO blow, but this is more than a bloody nose. It's most definitely a liver shot. It can tank you, but you can come back from it. The by-election followed the resignation of Owen Paterson, the disgraced MP, formerly of North Shropshire. I mean, he's been there since 1997. Like, I was born the year before 97. That's crazy how long he's been there. He was found to have breached parliamentary rules on lobbying, and is corrupt. He was found to be corrupt. In her victory speech, Miss Morgan, who won by 5,925 votes, which is a large amount to win by. I mean, I was watching Phil's videos. He thought, it'd be close, a couple of hundred, but you're talking, it's almost 6,000 votes. The people of North Shropshire have spoken on behalf of the British people. They've said loud and clearly, Boris Johnson, the party is over. I mean, yeah, that's as great a line as we have a Prime Minister who is socially distanced from the truth, but alright, I'll let you have your victory party. Your government run on lies and bluster will be held accountable. It will be scrutinised, it will be challenged, and it can and will be defeated. I mean, these are bold statements here. Your party's not doing the best job in terms of scrutiny, so let's see if you can do any better. So some Laura Kuenssberg analysis, who's always semi-interesting because she's not a government spokesperson, but she's very close to the Tory party, which she shouldn't be because she's a political correspondent, and the BBC's lead editor, I believe, but chief correspondent anyways. The government is going to try and say it's midterm misery, by-elections happen, governments do lose, it's not, something that's completely out of this world. And by-elections are a way the public can stick two fingers up to a government when they're across. I mean, the way she's talking here is like we're five, but okay. But let's be plain, this is an appalling result for the Conservatives in a part of the country where the tradition of voting Tory is baked into the earth. They've had this seat for, I think it's 200 years. Crazy. This isn't a little slip-up. It's a disaster. And let's not forget here, there were Tory voters and Labour voters who voted for this Lib Dem MP. People on the ground say the Tory campaign was going okay until all of the shenanigans in Downing Street emerged. So it wasn't Brexit that did this. It wasn't necessarily the corruption stuff. It was the parties. It was the blatant hypocrisy that Boris Johnson, Tories were having parties, staffers were having parties and things like that. They were caught on camera, didn't even try and hide it. And other people, people, Christmas is a big deal for some people. Most people, I'd say, in this country, couldn't do the same thing with their families and the people they cared about. Johnson does have an extraordinary ability to bounce back. I mean, sure, but there's only so many punches you can take before, someone's going to throw in the damn towel. Or, or in this case, the backbenchers and your cabinet decide to shiv you. But, we'll see. But there's no doubt this is a really dangerous moment for the Prime Minister. It's true, this is an extreme safe seat for the Conservative Party. And when we look at the numbers, it'll become more apparent. But this is a very, very safe seat for the Tories. And what this tells you is that a lot of the other ones who have smaller majorities in the hundreds and into the lower thousands are going to be very nervous. I think they're going to be very nervous today. It is the second loss for a former stronghold to the Lib Dems since 2019, which wasn't that long ago, with the party seizing Chesham and Amersham in Buckinghamshire with a 25% swing in July. So they lost that to the Lib Dems as well, so that's not great. Earlier this month, the Tories held on to Old Bexley and Sidcup in a by-election, but I think the context around that was different. The party stuff wasn't as apparent, and I think James Brokenshire, he had died of cancer, and he was very liked in the constituency, so I can understand why that wasn't why they didn't lose that one. There was a 10% swing to Labour, but that one's a bit of an outlier, I think, in terms of general analysis, because it was under exceptional circumstances. I guess you could argue about the same thing with this one, North Shropshire. The North Shropshire seat existed in some form since the 1830s, and until Friday had always had a Conservative MP. It's just they've lost a historic seat. The area voted strongly in favour for Brexit, but this did not stop them voting for a pro-EU Lib Dem in their constituency. So it might be the case that the Lib Dems aren't really pushing that hard on Brexit, so that might be the reason as to why she's done okay. But the other reason could be that maybe we are approaching a semi-post-Brexit world where people aren't that bothered about it anymore. If you look here, a huge amount she's won by there. That's crazy. The by-election came just 2 days after Boris Johnson experienced his biggest rebellion in office, when 100 Conservative MPs voted against the government's proposals to introduce COVID passes. That only got through because of Labour votes. It also followed rows about a number 10 Christmas party where they had pictures of Johnson surrounded by two other people, which I think broke the lockdown rules. I'm not 100% sure, but it wasn't, they were under tier 2 restrictions, I think. And the Prime Minister appeared at a virtual quiz alongside two other colleagues about the same time, one person wearing a Santa hat and the other person wearing tinsel. Not very work related. Before that, there had also been a fine for the Conservative Party over financing of Johnson's flat. I don't think that one would have hit hard. I think it's the party stuff, honestly. I think it's the party that have done him in. There's a bit more. Reflecting to his party losing North Shropshire, Dr. Hurst said, "We are 11 years into a Conservative government. A by-election, our election is never an easy thing, but this is Boris Johnson, who's kind of successfully moved himself away from Theresa May and David Cameron. So arguably, you're not really into an 11-year premiership, are you, when you think about it? But I suppose that depends how you want to kind of analyse the last decade of the Tories." We've got here a bit more. So Shadow Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds told BBC Breakfast, "We put the effort into that was proportionate for our chance of winning." So what I read into that is Labour knew they had no chance of winning it, so they didn't bother. We put the effort in that was proportionate to our chance of winning. Didn't have a chance to win, so we didn't bother. That's how I read it anyways. But clearly people wanted to send a message to the government that they're fed up with the incompetence, the sleaze, the kind of revelations we've seen in the last few weeks. So for those people arguing that, Labour have done really badly in North Shropshire, haven't they? You're missing the big story here. So either you're not very bright, you don't have a lot of political knowledge, or you're a bit of a spin merchant and you want to deflect away from a bad result, because it's very clear from this that Labour voters voted Lib Dem in order to defeat the Tories, and that was very clear based on her speech as well. She acknowledged this, the new MP. Boris Johnson saying he needs to get journalists to focus on the NHS and skills. Look, squirrel, there's my cat Shinji, he's trying to distract you guys. There's Larry the cat. He's trying to distract everyone from what's going on. I mean, this is such a dumb statement, but he's a bumbling oaf, And the thing with populists are they're great in the good times, or the middling times. But in the bad times, they're horrible because they have no idea what they're doing. We're going to cut to a video of Boris Johnson in a moment, which is hilarious. You've got this guy, Dan Hodges, absolute clown, saying on the by-election, disastrous result for Boris, but a pretty terrible result for Starmer as well. Like, bro, like, no, it's very clear what happened. Everyone's voting Lib Dem in order to stop the Tories. If we actually look at these results here, if we actually look at it, right, she won by a significant margin. I think it's around 5,000 votes, over 5,000. A huge vote swing to the Lib Dems, 37%. But if you look at the turnouts are typically low at by-elections, at 46% turnout. If you look at the other results, 67%, 2010s, 2020, bear with me, 2017. So you look at 69%, 67. So it's fairly high. So what you can gather from this, turnout is very low, and if we actually look at the amount of votes, you can see like the Lib Dem candidate got 17,000 votes in 2019. They only got 5,000, so there's a massive swing there. Labour's vote share dropping off significantly in that election, so a lot of people who voted Labour switched to Lib Dem, obviously, and Conservatives who voted typically Tory, they vote for Lib Dem, but the amount of the votes that the Conservatives lost by, 30,000 votes they got, only 17,000. I think people just stayed home. I think a lot of people stayed home, evident from the turnout, and I think the ones that did turn up weren't planning on voting Tory for the most part. I mean, they only got 12,000 votes. That's less than half. That's way less than half what they got last time. So yeah, I don't know what more to say about this one apart from I would be scared, especially if you're an MP with not a lot of stage presence, because they're not going to base it on what you've done for that area. They're going to base it on what Boris Johnson has done. If you look at the national polling, I mean, this is pretty good news for Labour and the Lib Dems. The Lib Dems at 10. Obviously, the main issue is that because we have first past the post, these points don't really translate in voting. You have to look at the weird hexagon thing they do for per constituencies. But the Tories are going to be looking at these numbers. They're going to see we're down in the polls by about 6 points? No, about 5 points. So yeah, I mean, that's a significant drop. And the thing is, right, it's consistent. It's been consistent for a while. Look, for a good few days now, it's been a big drop off. Labour doing fairly well, hitting 40. Under Starmer, they didn't do that because this isn't really about Starmer doing well. This is about Johnson failing. The Lib Dems at 10 points, the SNP doing consistently okay. The Lib Dems have had a resurgence though, because people who vote Conservative, who don't like the Conservatives as much anymore, they're not going to vote Labour. So like, all right, what can we do then? I want to vote. They're going to vote Lib Dem. And the ones who don't want to vote just stay home. The ones who are sort of fallen out of love with the Tory party, I guess. There's a bit more I wanted to talk about. I mean, this clip here is hilarious. Is this anything relevant? No, that's something else which is also hilarious. We'll get there at some point. This is so funny, right? This is what Boris Johnson's like. Look, media guys, all right, I need you to stop focusing on the scandals. I need you to stop focusing on the Patterson stuff, the party stuff, the flat stuff, right? And I need to focus on what's important. That's what I need you guys to do, okay? So let's have a look. Let's watch this.
I think that people are...
Oh, there's no sound. My headphones are off. There we go.
I think that people are frustrated, and I understand that basically what's been going wrong, Sam, is that in the last few weeks, some things have been going...
He's going straight off the dome here. There's no planning here. Nothing prepared, straight off the dome. And this tells you a lot about how he thinks.
Very well, but what the people have been hearing, is just a constant litany of stuff about politics and politicians and stuff that isn't about them and isn't about the things that we can do to make life better. And so, to that extent, of course, you're right. And I think that the job of the government is to make people like you, Sam, interested in the booster rollout and in skills and in housing and in everything else that we're doing. And unfortunately, you're totally right. We haven't been able to get the focus on those issues.
He's saying, look, mate, you know, you need to stop focusing on the scandals, right? I need you to focus on jobs and skills and vaccinations. That's what I need you to do. You can't be doing this looking at this scandal stuff. You know, can't be doing that. What I need you to do is the government's job, apparently, according to Johnson, is to get the media to focus on certain things when the job of the government is to serve and protect their people. That's the role of the government. It's not to get the media to focus on anything. That's how you roll into an authoritarian government. So again, you know, you can tell he's going straight off the dome. There's bits where he's kind of thinking. See, he looks off there to his side, trying to think, oh, what's a good answer? There's a big pause there. At least he's wearing a mask. That's a big positive. But he's got no answer because he knows that essentially the knives are out for him. I saw one article today. Oh, I don't have it up. It was about how the Tories are handing in. The Tories are handing in the votes of no confidence. It's already starting. It's already starting. One of them has said, it's from a Scottish paper. I must have closed the tab. That's bad preparedness for me. Apologies. I'll try and put it up in post. But yeah, you know, they're not happy with him. You know, Tory MPs handing in their votes of resignation. Probably the only bit of work they'll be doing over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But I think I don't know if he's going to make it to the next election. I genuinely don't. I mean, it's up to you guys. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I'm at risk of rambling on incessantly now. But yeah, you know, I guess it'll be a toss-up. You know, it could be either Liz Truss or Sunak or Priti Patel. Oof, that's terrifying, isn't it? But I think by the end of next year, I think we'll have a new Prime Minister. I think we'll have a new Prime Minister by then. Don't know who, but yeah. See a general in 2023, so we'll see what happens. I'll be following it as best I can and letting you guys know my what's going on and my stupid thoughts. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.